when for us, when we're going to Uganda and you know you're going and you need to save money, instead of saving money here where you're going to touch the money and potentially use it or whatnot, or trust the person, someone else with money, or if you have your bank account, you can put the money there. So if you're a lot of our parents, a lot of us, a lot of different people, you know, Bazimba, they do projects back home. So the ability to send money directly from your bank account here in the UK or in the US or in Europe directly into another bank account in you know, in Uganda, that for me, I find it absolutely amazing. That
Mujevale, Mujevale, Mujevale. My name is Bani Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Ball Talk Show. You mentioned something that most people in Uganda use against us, the Basama, about us saving money. Then we go to Uganda and have a ton of money, and then we come back here and we're broke. They usually use that against us. Like, what do you think about that?
for a lot of people, there's a lot of truth to that. But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Life in the West is not easy. Like, it may appear it, but we really, really do hustle for our money. You know, we really do work hard for our money. And then when you take into consideration tax systems, and you take into consideration, like for here in the UK, you know, your tax, and then there's national insurance, and then the fact that, you know, like right now, fuel prices are through the roof, and then you've got rent, you've got so many different commitments that, you know, we're not millionaires by any stretch. We literally are hustling. So when we do make some money, I think Ugandans our brothers and sisters back home don't actually understand the relief it is when we land home.
Yeah.
Like, we spend all year anxious to go home because we just want that break, because this is not our home. I mean, for me, this is home because this is where I'm 31. I've been here since I was 2. That's what, 28, 29 years I've been in this country, right? And it's easy for me to want to be like, you know, this is home. It's the only home I've ever known. Yes, but it's not home. When you then look into institutional racism, and then you look into societal racism, and then you look into, you know, just how segregated certain communities are, and then you look at the limitations that are around, and you just look at you quickly come to understand that this ain't our home. This ain't it. This is home, but it's not home. There's something special about landing at Entebbe Airport. Yeah. Even if it's at night and you can't see nothing. Yeah, it's our small, you know, I mean, when you, especially like if you're coming from the UK, you're coming from Heathrow, Terminal 4, Terminal 5. These are grand airports. And, you know, if you're taking Qatar and you land in Qatar's airport, you see how grandeur it is. Landing in Entebbe, you might think, it's this tiny airport, but it's ours.
Yeah.
It's ours, Chafe. Do you understand? Like, I don't care how grand your anything else is, Entebbe is ours. You're home, you're free. You know, you get to see your people, you get to be yourself, you get to drop this mask that you put on a lot of the times when we're working. And this is something that I think a lot of our brothers and sisters don't actually understand, that when you're working, if you're in the office space or if you're working in whatever industry it is, we have to strip ourselves of who we are in order to get through every single day. We have to take on a persona of the Western man, just to get through, to make the money. Do you understand? We can't speak our language. You can't enforce our culture. We have to become him. We have to become the Westerner in order to make the money. So when we go home and we can be ourselves, what a beautiful feeling that is. It's amazing. And trust me, a lot of people say, listen, I'm working, I'm paying this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I am going home. I'm going to save my money and I'm going to go home. And yes, you save, you go home and you spend, but that's to enjoy.
Right.
You know, you want to spend on your family members. You're on holiday. I mean, if I'm going, like, I've been to the States a number of times. If I'm coming to the States, I need to save up for that as well. And I'm going to spend. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to go back to a job to make the money again. Anytime you travel, anytime you're going anywhere, you need to spend. And chances are when you come back, you don't have a big kitty, and
That's true. Yeah.
it's just life. It's just what it is. But we love home. We love
It,
Uganda. We want to experience the best that our country has to offer. You
yeah.
know.
I would actually, you explain it the best way. I've never had anybody explain it that way. And I learned something from your explanation to use against that, because saving money to go and spend it in Uganda isn't a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. But because when we grew up in Uganda, nobody talks about saving money. They kind of just go to place and just wing it, or like they just make what they're going to eat that day. Nobody saves money. So they
Yeah.
use that against us, that we save money, we go spend big. But that's a good thing. We saved it. And yeah, we're going to come back. We might not have the same money, but that was the whole reason why we saved the money. You saved the money for a reason.
And by the way, when it is a case where we're back and we're broke, it's not that we have zero. It's just that we don't have money to spend on anything else. We have enough to survive. I need to now, when I come back now, I need to consider rent. I need to consider whether it's rent or a mortgage. I need to consider car insurance. I need to consider the road tax. I need to consider transport to get to and from work. I need to consider life. I'm away from the holiday. I'm back to life. And because it's not free. We don't live for free in this country. You understand? So we need to consider that.
Yeah, but I gotta say, you made some good points. Like when we're working here, we really, I never even thought about it, but when you said it, like I thought of myself at work, where I work, and like you do something that you take yourself out of you, like your Ugandan self out of you. You wear another like American or thing to be at work. You speak English every day. You have to work on this time. You have to do this, which like to make that money. So whatever you're gonna do with that money, it's all up to you, because you work hard for that money. Which most people in Uganda still have that mentality of people in the West, that there's money all over the place, but in real sense, we have to really work hard for that money to get it.
No, we do. We work very, very hard, and we strip ourselves. And I think that's the one thing that people don't actually understand. Physically, some roles aren't physically demanding, right? But mentally and emotionally, they're draining, because of the fact that we have to strip ourselves of who we are, and we have to tolerate certain things that aren't comfortable. We deal with a lot of microaggression. Anyone who's ever worked, I can only imagine that in the US it's the same. But if you've ever worked in an office space here in the UK, and you're at times one of the only Black people in an entire office or working for an entire company, the microaggression and the subtle racism that you face every single day, and you have to take it, and it goes in, like it's draining. It's mentally and emotionally draining, but you take it, and you just have to strip yourself of who you are. You can't be you. We love being, and I think what our brothers and sisters need to understand is the fact that us saving money and going to Uganda to save it is it should be the biggest indicator of how patriotic we are.
Right.
Because we have the ability to go to any country, and we do. We travel all around the world. Ugandans go everywhere, right? But the fact that 2 times a year, in the summer and in December, Ugandans, it doesn't matter what country they're in, descend on home.
Yeah.
The UK, Sweden, Denmark, South Africa, the United States, Canada, like you'll get to a bar, for example, you get to a club, and you just know that, oh, they're from this part, that's where they're from here, they're from there. It's the biggest indicator of just how patriotic we are. We love our country, and we want to spend our hard-earned money at home. We don't want to spend it anywhere else. We want to spend it home on our people. And there's something, again, I think for me it's different. Maybe I see things very differently, because I didn't go to Uganda until I was 22 years old. So as an adult, I was able to see and witness and experience certain things. And you don't understand what it's like to walk into a supermarket and you're speaking Luganda. And you walk in and there's someone there, now Kwanidiza, and they greet you. Oh, Jebele Kosevo. It's like, wait, what? That doesn't happen here. Like if I go to a small shop, I want to buy a drink or something like that, I can't walk into that shop in Uganda and not greet the shopkeeper. That's impossible. I have to greet the shopkeeper. Here, you walk into a shop, you don't even acknowledge the shopkeeper. You go, you buy what you want, you come back. Sometimes you don't even communicate with them. I can't walk into a shop and there's an auntie, you know, what child, yeah, what I tuned out, whatever she's buying, you can't do that back home.
Oh, yeah.
It's normal. So it's like there's something beautiful about being in your own home and you're embraced in the culture.
Yeah.
Like, it's fantastic. It's liberating. It reminds you of who you are, and it reminds you of just how different these society is, and it just reinstates it, and it just, I am a Ugandan, you know. And it's like every now and again we need to go home. It's like omanyinga owancho get how just okunyi kamumazi or veyonti, yes, I'm refreshed again, you know.
Yeah. But I was gonna revisit back the statement you said about landing in Entebbe, because I experienced that myself. Like when I'm flying from the US, Amsterdam, I'm just going to Uganda. But when the plane leaves Amsterdam and I know the next stop, I mean, sometimes we land in Kigali. But when it's leaving Kigali going to Entebbe, I have this big smile on me. And when I land there, it's just a big smile that I can't control because it feels good to be home, you know? And that's what the viz. And no matter what, there's nothing that beats that for us to be at home and know you're free, know you're home, you're whatever, see your family. So I think it means a big deal for us to go and visit them.
You hit the nail on the head. That moment when you know you're about to land in Uganda and you've taken off from Kigali if you're going that route, or even if you're going, let's say coming from, let's say Doha, and you've entered, and you see on the screen you've entered Ugandan airspace, and they prepare you to land. The joy that overtakes you, you have to have left Uganda and lived somewhere else to understand the joy that overtakes someone when they know I'm about to land in Uganda.
Right.
I don't know what it is. But there's something special about it when you just know. And that feeling, I swear, it's worth it. Even if nothing else happens the entire trip, that feeling alone is worth the entire time period you've been waiting. It's priceless, man. It's absolutely priceless. I've traveled. I love the States. The States is absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. Traveled right across Europe, but I swear to you, there's nothing like Uganda.
That is true, and I'm the same way. I at one point I thought I'm the only person who feels that, but when you shared it earlier, I was like, oh, so somebody else feels. Everybody, I think now, everybody who is outside Uganda like flies back, they have the same excitement and joy, and I can't trade that for anything. But we're coming close to ending this, but there are two things I'm gonna touch on that you mentioned while you're talking. You talked about racism, and you talked about the things we go through at work. And I have an episode here for the listeners that have listened. I was talking about my experience at work where I was the only Black person in the whole place, and it was tough. It was tough for me to go through that environment and waking up every day knowing like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive today? You know, it's tough. But I wanted the money. Like you say, we work for this money. We need money to pay rent, to pay everything. But at some point it got more than even the money. Like it got to an extent where it's costing me my peace, my mental health. And I was like, no, I need to shut this down no matter what. I actually left my job. I didn't even have any other job lined up, but I was just, you know what? I need to step out of this place for a while. So it gets really tough. So I wanted to hear from your perspective, like how is racism? And it was racism. I wouldn't hide that, because the people I worked with, they never really liked me so I work in the aviation field, aircraft mechanic, and to go and work in an environment with other Americans who are white people, it's a certain part of the country that people are uncivilized. So when you go there, you make the same amount of money as them. You're younger than them. They look at that as a threat and they use that against you. You're not from here. How am I getting paid the same amount of money you're getting paid? But it's not that the boss picked you out because you're from Uganda, a third world country, to come and work here. You studied, you worked hard for that. So you're there because you qualified to do that. but people
Yeah.
don't take it in that perspective and they
Oh.
use it against you. So how is it like in the UK in that what we're talking about, like in that area?
I think racism is so deeply embedded in the UK society that at times you can miss it. It's
Yeah.
insane to think that it's so deeply embedded within society that it goes over your head because you're just used to it. And sometimes you need to either step out of it or you need someone else to actually tell you that, yo, this is actually wrong, because you just get used to it. You literally you adapt to the environment. So growing up, the education system, the housing system, dealing with law enforcement, racism has just been part of it. So by the time you get to the workplace as an adult, you're so aware of your own skin and your own presence, and you automatically, because a lack of representation on TV. Each time you see someone who looks like you, it's negative. Yet, those who don't look like you are, those who do occupy the highest status within society look nothing like you. So you're already programmed to understand that you don't belong in certain rooms. So when you do walk into an office space and there's like two other Black people in that entire room and you're one of them, automatically you just know that at some point you're going to face it, and it's real, it's there. And what you said, it's key. I think white people have this level of entitlement that they feel that they are entitled to everything. And if you are occupying a space, they see as though you're taken away from them, not realizing that you're where you are because you worked hard for it, because you're qualified, because you deserve to be there, not because, they chose you over someone else and so on and so forth, but they don't see it that way. And it's almost threatening to them. And I think the most frustrating thing about it is when they smile in your face. And for the most part, it's cool. You're talking and this and this and that. But then they make 1-2 comments. Every now and again, a comment or something will be done, or you'll hear something, you'll hear conversations start that will really rub you the wrong way. I remember being in the office at the time of George Floyd's death, and we went to the protest. I went to the protest in London. I remember that was on the weekend. I remember the Monday we went back, and obviously, I don't know if you know anything about the protests that took place here in the UK, but they were very, very violent. And being in the office the next day, on Monday, because it was on Saturday, so being in office on Monday, the atmosphere was so tense, like it was incredibly tense. And keep in mind, in the office were just 3 Black men, right? And then the conversations, and you hear people talk, but why are they violent? But don't they have things to do? But in your mind, you're like, who's they? Let's start with that. Who is the they? Violence, violence doesn't help. And you're like, hold on, violence doesn't help. We're protesting because of an act of violence. You come to understand when you hear certain conversations that Black and white people see things very differently.
That's true.
We view the word very differently. And then in the end, if you speak your mind, at times you're made to feel small or an outsider, or they almost try to guilt trip you into having particular views or supporting BLM and things like that. And it takes a very strong mind to stand your ground and say to them, listen, I do support Black Lives Matter, because we do. That's not to say all lives don't matter. They do, every life matter. But at this moment in time, Black lives are at risk.
Yeah.
Who's the ones that are suffering? What are we seeing? You cannot compare the two. And it was like, I'll compare it to, it's going to slightly go away from the question. I'll compare it to a video that I put out where I was talking about domestic violence and sexual assault. And I was talking about how there's no justification for violence against women, whether it's sexual or domestic. And people kept responding, there's no justification for violence against anyone. Yeah, I know that. People are like, oh, so what are you saying? There's just you can justify, assaulting a man? No, I'm not saying that. But when you look at the numbers, who's more likely to die of domestic violence? Women. Who suffer the most from domestic violence? Women. Who suffer the most from sexual assault? Women. Who's more likely to be raped and killed in society? Women. The not just violence, but sexual assault and the sexualization of women is so deeply embedded in our society that a lot of men don't even know what sexual assault is. A lot of men don't even know what class is a sexual assault. They must think like it was this Sheba situation where a lot of people must think that a man must actually physically rape a woman in order for it to become sexual assault. So it's like we need to understand that I'm speaking because women are at risk. They're the highest at risk. That's the problem. I'm not saying it's okay to assault a man. No. But women are at risk far more than men, and that's the problem we're talking about. So it's the same with racism, and it's like it's just very difficult in the workplace. It's draining. It's very draining, and it becomes a point where you're aware. You walk into certain spaces and certain parts of this country, your skin feels like it weighs a ton. It feels like you're heavy. And you feel it. And it's not a nice feeling, and it's very, very draining. And at times you just get to a point where you're like, there's nothing I can do that can let these people know that I am more than the color of my skin, But then you just get to a point where you're like, okay, I get that now. So now I'm just going to navigate through the world without giving a care as to what they're up to.
Right. That's you just made a point that I don't think you even ever heard me say it, but I say the same thing. Like that place I was telling you about, you walk into it and you know you're the only Black person, but you feel it when you were there. And it's different from where I'm working right now because I'm still the only Black person. But sometimes you even forget you're the only Black person there because of the way those people treat you. But when I was working in the other place, like they make you feel, and you feel it that you are the only Black person there. But it's crazy to hear that it's from what you're saying. It sounds like it's pretty much the same way in London, just like the US, and it's tough. Like there's no way we're gonna get rid of this because recently in the US they just shot people at Buffalo. I don't know if you've heard about that. Like a guy gun shooting, like, and then they say, oh, they do. There's a way they say it in the US when a white person shoots, they say he has like mental issues or like something like that. Yeah. And then when a Black person does something, you don't even have, they just kill, actually. They just kill because, he resisted arrest. So we shot him in the head and he died. Like, how are those two compared? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And there's always people.
I think we make a mistake as Black people. This is the biggest mistake we make. We make a mistake in thinking that after hundreds of years of not being seen as human, of being enslaved, brutalized, colonized, murdered, raped, pillaged, everything, kidnapped, whatever, of hundreds of years of not being seen by human, we seem to think that 20, 30, 40 years is all of a sudden going to make them see us as human, as though our lives matter as much as them. No. Racism is just part of society. And the mistake we do is expecting. And that goes back to what Jib said originally. No one owes you anything. We falsely expect that we're going to be seen as equal now just because we've got some rights. No. Our lives do not matter to the same levels that theirs do.
Yeah.
To them. To us, it does. To us, of course, we know we do. But to them, it doesn't. And it's just, that's why you're going to find more Black people dying in police custody. That's why you're going to find more Black people being incarcerated for the exact same crime that white people are committing, at a higher level and facing longer sentences. That's why, for example, in the UK, we've got this issue where Black women are most likely to die whilst giving birth because of the way the doctors treat them in hospitals. It's just part of society. It's part of the environment. We had a case recently when just a few days ago, where an 11-year-old boy had to have his finger amputated.
I just seen that on the schedule. Racism. Yeah, I just saw that. Was that in the UK? I thought it was in the US. Was it in the UK?
No, that's here in the UK.
Oh, really?
But that goes to show you that the experiences are the same. Right. That happened here, and it's like, this thing is still deeply embedded within our societies, and we have to be the ones that change that by force. And I think that experience that we go through every single day, all year round, is the reason why when we get home, we're like, oh, God.
That is
home.
That is definitely true, and
Yeah.
that explains for the people back in Uganda. Now they know the reason why we get so excited when we land home, because we are in the place where we feel loved and we know we're going to be with family, we're going to have fun. And once again, I
And the
came. I
food.
don't, mhm.
Can we,
Yeah, and
can we
food.
talk
Yeah,
about the food? Like,
yeah.
do you know how much we miss that food? Like, we
Mhm.
want to go and just wake up in the morning and have kachogo, but authentically.
Yeah.
You understand? I want a Rolex. I want nyama choma. I want to be driving to Ginger and then pull up on the side of the road and have people offer me meat and chicken. I wanna go to Java's. I want to go to 2K. I want to go to those bufunda. No gena
Mhm.
no sanga haja tinga fumbo luombo nga
Hey.
luoma. Like, I want those experiences. We miss our food, man. Like, I think our brothers and sisters just need to understand and realize that not only are we Ugandans too, but
Mhm.
us being away from home doesn't make us any less patriotic than you. And
Right.
we love Uganda as much as you do. And we
Mhm.
miss it because of the fact that we're away.
Mhm.
Because we're away for so long that we miss our home.
Yep. Once again, Hakim, I was gonna say, like, I don't think I've ever heard, and this is not because you're on the podcast or today, but because you do the same job I do, and you're definitely way better than me because I don't have that much experience in radio and
Of course
stuff.
not.
But
No.
but having
No,
this
no, no, no.
conversation that's just flowing, we never prepared anything. I never prepared anything to ask questions, but we just had an open conversation that, if you think about it, like everything we've been talking about, we're able to relate to, like you just, and your
Something
conclusion, or
else.
when, yeah, you just relate to back to what people think in Uganda and relating to what we go through here. And the whole conversation is flowing, like without even preparation. But so that's the kind of conversation I want. And us being just open here, talk about life and what we go through, especially us in the diaspora. So I really want to appreciate you for the time.
But
I'll definitely,
that's testimony to you though. That's a big testimony to you because of the fact that you're the one who navigated that conversation to begin with,
yeah.
and your ability to link each thing and pick up on whatever I was saying and not letting certain points go to waste, and you just navigated the conversation perfectly. So that's definitely for me. I can talk for days. I can talk and talk. So the direction of the conversation, because like you, I knew nothing about what we was going to speak about. You didn't tell me that, oh, we're going to speak about this. There was no topic. It was just
Right.
like Django to new me.
Down to it.
And
But
yeah,
yeah,
and this
I
is what
want
came
to
of it. Thank
I want to
you.
appreciate you for giving this time and being on the podcast and just talking. And I can't wait for my listeners to listen to this. And I know I record a week. I put record all my shows and then I put them out after it, because I have a full-time job, and this I do this as a hobby to just chat with people. Now
Of course.
now I have a friend Hakim, like we hosting
Yeah.
the podcast, and this is why I do this. So I really want, but I have a few questions I ask people I host on here. I don't want to let you go without asking you those. And the first one is, what has been a life lesson that you've learned so far in life?
What has been a life lesson that I've learned? Oh man, I've learned so much. I've learned so much. Wow, which one do I even? I'll tell you what, and I spoke about this on our previous show, but I'll tell you what I learned from Ramadan, right? The biggest lesson I took out of Ramadan was this, that you could wake up in the morning and you're fine, and you get through the day and it comes to break your fast and you're completely fine, right? And you didn't even notice or realize that you was hungry because it just went through. And then there are other days where you wake up in the morning and you're fine, you're not hungry, but then halfway through the day, it starts to get a bit difficult. And then the closer the time comes to break your fast, it gets really difficult. But then you make it and then you break fast. And then there's other days where you wake up in the morning, you're waking up at 8 a.m. and you're extremely hungry and you're not breaking fast until 8 p.m. and you go through the whole day and it's difficult. You can't think, you're starving. It's painful. It's frustrating, but then you make it through. And what I took from that is that in life, it doesn't matter how difficult life gets, that you go through different periods. Sometimes you go through periods where life is just smooth. Life is good. Life is easy. But then you go through certain times where life is really difficult. But if you have faith in God, you will always know that come what may, the sun will always set on your problems. Always. Because it doesn't matter how hungry I got during Ramadan, the sun had to set. So whether I was crying at 12, whether I was crying at 3, whether I was hungry at 7, the sun must set, you know? So I realized that in life, your problems are not permanent. One way or another, the sun will set on your issue. So it's like just about being patient. Patience is so important. It's the key to success. It's the key to a happy life. It's the key to contentment. It's the key to fulfilling your dreams. Being patient. Patience is for me, it's the number one discipline that I carry with me. Just be patient. Don't panic. Don't lose your head. Remember that one way or another, no circumstance is ever permanent. There isn't one. And when you are a person who believes in God, then you know that one way or another, he will get you through all your problems. He will get you through to the next day. And yeah, just be patient with it, man. Be patient.
That's definitely, patience is the key, and just waiting. And that brings back a lot of memories of just thinking about my personal life and just how I had to be patient to wait through till everything plays out. And that message goes back to everybody that's listening, to just be patient. No matter what's going through, the sun will always come out, just like you said. The second last question: what gets you excited about life? Life. Yeah.
Love. Life and love get me excited. Life is absolutely beautiful. We really underestimate the fact that life is being alive in of itself. We didn't choose to be here, but just the fact that we're conscious of our environment and we're aware of who we are. Life is beautiful. Life can change in an instant, you know. And for me, love. And not just romantic love, but just love, family love, friends love, passion. Like, I love podcasting. You know, I could be at work all day and I'm just thinking about sitting behind a mic. You understand? Like, that gets me excited. I get excited of just making people happy. I get excited about looking at someone's daughter and knowing that she's smiling because of me. That gets me excited. I get excited of seeing my kids grow and become these becoming these amazing young men. I get excited about when I make my mom proud, when I do something and I'm saying it to my mom and she smiles. Just love excites me in life. It's for me, it's just the most beautiful experience there is. Like, being able to experience love is, that for me excites me. And also, as a side note, so that's one thing. Another thing that excites me in life is knowing that I have so much untapped potential, and I'm excited to unlock what I can truly do. Because when I look back at what I've done, and I'm thinking to myself, I've not done anything, yet I've made it this far. Now, how far can I get when I truly go into my bag? You know, so that excites me, just tapping into that potential and the endless possibilities of just where I can go in life, you know?
Yeah, nothing beats that. You hit it right on the head. And yeah, I don't think I can even add on to that. So this brings me to my final question. Who would you like to see on my podcast? And you're going to have to help me find that person. Who would you like to see on the podcast, on the show at Jitu Wayemo? And you will help me find the person here.
Who would I love to see on your podcast? Ooh, there's so many people. Who would I love to hear from? Mina, you put me on the spot here.
Jibs for a person.
You know what?
Uh-huh.
Jibs and Linda, without a shadow of a doubt. I would
Okay.
love to. I would definitely love to have them on Jibs and Linda, 100%.
Okay. Okay.
I think you would have an amazing conversation with them. I think you have an amazing, like, they're so different. Like, and I
Mhm.
think that's what makes our podcast work.
Yeah.
Like, we're three very different personalities. You know, Jibs is the laid back, often quiet,
Mhm.
yet highly observant, highly intelligent, extremely petty
You can tell when you
individual.
listen. When you listen to him speak, you can tell. Like even that clip
Yeah,
that's
and
on your page. Mhm.
yeah, and he's there. Linda is crazy. Linda's just she's like I absolutely love Linda. She's crazy, but
Yeah.
so intelligent. She's so engaging. She's so articulate, but she's crazy. That's the only like yeah. Get ready because she's going to bring intelligence and
And
craziness to your
craziness.
podcast. Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you very much, and it was a
No,
blast
thank
having
you.
you on here. So
I feel bad because I'm like, every time I've seen all your other podcasts, it's always a topic. You're always
mhm.
speaking about something specific.
No,
Us, we're just
really,
freestyling.
I don't think
So I'm
so. I
like,
mean, no, no, I don't think it's usually that people just talking about it's. There's not really a specific topic. It's just talking about, and this is really important because this freestyle. I like the freestyle kind of podcast because I think people who will listen to this that know what we're talking about, they'll find it super important. And I think what we talked about today, like it's relatable to the people who need to hear it. So I'm sure like for the people who will listen to this, they'll pick up a lot of things that we talked about today that will benefit. Like it doesn't really have to be a specific topic, but I think we hit on some topics that are really important for people to listen to, no matter where you're in Uganda, you're in the UK, you're in the US. I feel like when you listen through this, there's a lot of things you can take out.
I think, sorry, yes, 100%. One more person I think you should talk to is a girl called Ashanti Kazira.
Okay.
I would love to hear her being interviewed when it's not me. So she's a
Okay.
guest we've had, but
Okay.
I would want to take a step back and just listen.
Just
And I
yeah.
think, yeah, she's a TikToker. She's just clocked about 60,000 followers now.
Nice.
And she has a huge following in the States, funny enough.
Mm.
And I think I would love to hear you conversating with her
Okay.
on being Ugandan because I guess, there's experiences that I don't have. I never went to school in Uganda. I never
Okay.
studied there. I don't know about boarding school. There's just certain
Mhm.
side that I don't know. So I think I would love to hear her being interviewed by a Ugandan. That's not me just listening
Okay.
and just
All right.
get someone who can pick her brain about her experience. So definitely Ashanti Kazira, I'll definitely put you in contact with her.
All right. Thank you, Hakim, and
Yeah,
look
no,
forward
thank you,
to
bro.
having more of this with you.
No, 100%. And we need to have you on our platform next.
All right. Yeah.
Because I've
Let
got
me know.
questions for you now. I've got
All right.
questions for you.
All right. Let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know anytime. I'll be ready.
No, definitely. I think we've got because we schedule in because we only film once a week and we schedule in pretty far ahead. So probably and sometime in July we'll have a
Okay.
conversation.
No problem.
Yeah.
Anytime. I'll be ready.
I did, my bro. Listen, thank you very much. It's been amazing.
All right. Thank you. You too.
You take care of yourself.
You
Bye.
too. Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode about my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.